Hi, welcome to my channel Cloud with Girish. Did you know that in October 2024, AWS introduced a significant update to the Lambda code editor in the console? This new editor is built on the open source foundation of Visual Studio Code. If you are used to using VS Code as your integrated development environment for development and debugging, you will find the updated Lambda code editor strikingly familiar. It replicates the features and workflow of your desktop environment, bringing a seamless development experience to the AWS console. In this video, I will walk you through the new Lambda code editor. We will explore the key update, including improvement to the code editor itself, enhanced test event configurations, and streamlined function deployment and testing processes. One standout feature of this editor is the ability to download the AWS SAM or CloudFormation template for your Lambda function. This capability allows you to export the function's code, enabling you to continue development locally in your preferred IDE. Once you have enhanced and tested the function locally, you can redeploy it as a new or updated Lambda function. The AWS Lambda console then provides an intuitive interface for accessing, testing, and validating your deployed function. Here is a quick look on the architecture workflow of how you can start a Lambda function in AWS console, do the configuration, and then download the same CloudFormation template, use it in your local environment using your IDE and the language, make changes, enhance the function, and then validate it locally, and then you deploy that change tag back in the AWS cloud. In this example, I'm using the VS Code, Python, and Boto 3, but you can use another editor and another language like Java to perform the similar actions. Prerequisite to work on this is familiarity with the AWS Management Console, a basic understanding of Lambda function, access to VS Code IDE, and of course you need to have the AWS SAM CLI installed in your local development environment and a basic knowledge of Python programming. Let's get started. We're going to look at the overview of Lambda updated console, how the code editor looks, the Lambda deployment and the testing, and then we'll also look at that downloading the Lambda SAM CloudFormation template. In the VS Code, which is my environment, I can then continue the local development, testing, and deployment of that function. So I'm going to show you the steps to that. And then towards the end, I'll do the cleanup, which is really deleting the Lambda function so that it's not staying in my account or incur the cost, because I'm not going to need the same function again in future. So let's look at the overview of updated console. The updated AWS Lambda console introduced several exciting features designed to enhance the developer experience. This includes a VS Code-like experience, improved in-console function code editing capability, and integrated support for Amazon Q generative AI, empowering developer with intelligent assistance. So here is an example of how this editor looks like. Now, if you are familiar with VS Code, you know that it is very similar to how VS Code will look like. So here is our editor, and you can see that it looks really like, if I don't tell you, you probably won't know that this is not the VS Code. It looks exactly how the VS Code looks like. We have the folder, we have the search, we have the run and debug, we have the extension, we have the Lambda. It's really cool, actually. It's very similar as I have like in my VS Code. So I really like it. Let's look at the Lambda code. So in this example, I'm creating a very simple hello world function just to show the workflow. So here is my function. I'm naming it as hello world GB, and I'm picking a runtime environment of Python 3.13. This is the latest Python runtime. AWS has added the support for it recently, so I thought, why not? Let's just try the latest runtime here, right? And here is the function. Very simple function. It's actually generated by Lambda, right? When you create a basic Lambda function, you likely will get this template by default. So I'm importing the JSON. I have a Lambda handler with the event and context. And then it's basically returning a 200 and simply saying hello from Lambda, right? So I'm going to just use this function as it is for the first part, and then we will enhance this function later. So since I already have this function, in order for me to test it, I do need to configure a test event. Now, this function is not taking really any parameter, but I still need a test event. So this test event need to be used by the function for the execution. So it's not taking parameter like I said, but I'm still configuring this parameter because I will also use this test event later when the function is updated to accept a parameter. Now, test event is created in JSON format. So if you are familiar with JSON, you will see that this is a JSON object. It has like key pair, so name is Girish, and this is what we will use as a test event. Now, once I have it, my code is there, my test event is set up, it's time to deploy the function. And deploying the function through the console is as simple as clicking on the deploy, right? So if I go back here on my code editor, now the deploy is right there, test is right there. So I'll deploy the function, and once it's deployed, I click on test to validate the function. So let's come back here. So after the function is successfully deployed, you can test it using the configure test event in the AWS console. So like I said, it's as simple as selecting the test event, clicking on the test. And if my function does not have any error, then the expected result will be hello from Lambda. And you will see the output. It's showing that, hey, you are getting a status code of 200 and you are getting this message, hello from Lambda. Now, if you go back to the code, that's really all we are expecting from this function, right? We are saying, hey, when you invoke this function, give back the status code of 200, and in the body, I'm saying, hey, dump this message, hello from Lambda. So that's exactly the output that response has in this example. So very simple. Hello world, as you know, hello world is the beginning of all the complicated functions to come later. So I'm starting with the hello world here. Now, this is where the second part comes, right? I was talking about that the noteworthy feature of the AWS Lambda console is the option to view the SAM CloudFormation template for the function you create. Now, this functionality was not there from the beginning, right? Like you can use the console, but if you want to use SAM CloudFormation, you will have to write your template and then basically use that template to do the local development. Now you have the flexibility of like saving that time and kind of getting the template from the console, and then you can make changes as you deem fit for your business need and the function. So in this example, I'm downloading the function from the console by going to the template tab and saying, hey, give me my function AWS SAM file. So I'm just showing a portion of this file, but it's really many lines here that AWS is generating for me, right? So it has all the basic information like, hey, what's the description? And then here is my function name. And then it has like, the RAM allocated, the timeout, the code URI, and so on, right? And again, once I have the template, I can update any of this information. But this template serves as the foundation for enhancing this function further in the local ID. And then once modified, then you can redeploy the updated function seamlessly. And that's leveraging the power of infrastructure as a code for iterative development. So this is just an example that I wanted to show. Let's look at the next. Now that I have the SAM template, I can use it to enhance the function in the local ID. Now, my local ID setup include VS Code along with AWS SAM CLI. You may have a different IDE, but you will still need SAM CLI to do that, right? So again, I'm using the VS Code. I have created several workshops that demonstrates how to develop and validate a Lambda function locally If you are interested in those, please watch those other videos. The links are provided in the description and the videos are available in the playlist on my channel. Since I'm using Python 3.13, the latest version of the Python runtime, it is essential to have the latest AWS SAM CLI installed. You can check the installed version of SAM CLI using this command. So the command is SAM version, and it will give you like, hey, what's your CLI version is. So when I started working on this workshop, I had SAM CLI 1.127 installed, but I needed a version above it because I'm using the Python runtime of 3.13, which is the latest one. And when the CLI was there, the version was not there. So I need to get the latest version of SAM CLI. So I can update the SAM CLI by using the command brew upgrade AWS SAM CLI. And once I have upgraded, and if I run the SAM version command again, then I'm seeing that, hey, now I have upgraded it from 1.127 to 1.132. Simple step, but I just wanted to show you because if you don't have this step covered and you try to use the same runtime, then you will run into the error message saying, hey, the 3.13 not supported. I mean, you can always go back and select a different runtime like 3.11 or 3.12 and you will be fine. But again, if you want to use the latest one, you need to have the upgraded SAM CLI. Now let's update the code to enhance the function. So if you remember, the function was very simple. It just has like hello from Lambda. Now I'm adding the ability to extract the parameter name from the event, and then I'll update the output message also, right? So here I'm saying, hey, get the name from the event, and then if name parameter is not provided in the event, then we will simply return a error message, right, with the status code 400 and saying, hey, error, no name found in the event. But if we do get the name in the event, then we will return 200 and we will say hello from Lambda and plus I'm passing that name, right? Just again, very simple, but just this time we are extracting the parameter and we are using it in our code. Now we have the function, so let's build the Lambda function code using the function code and downloaded SAM template. And like I said, it's a framework, right? The SAM serverless application model. That is how you use serverless in your local development environment. And there are several videos I have like on my channel. You can watch it for step-by-step instructions. But really, like, it's SAM build, SAM local invoke, and SAM deploy, right? Those are three my favorite commands from the SAM framework. So here I'm using SAM build, and it's going to use the template file that I already have in my folder, also the code that I have for my function, and it's going to try to build it. Now, if build is succeeded, then I will get this message, and then it's going to tell me that, hey, you can now, the next step, you can invoke the function, you can test, you can deploy it. So I'm going to invoke it next. So once it's successful, like I said, we can validate the function using the SAM local. And this is all I'm doing it in my local environment, right? In my I'm not in the AWS console. So I'm on my terminal. I'm running the command SAM local invoke, and I'm passing the function name, which in my case is hello world GB. And then I'm saying, hey, -e, and then I'm also passing the sample event. So sample event that has like that one JSON object with name as Girish, right? So if I see this here, and if I like pass a sample event that had like name John Doe, and if I run it, this using this command, you will see that in my local console, right, which is my terminal, I'm getting this message, hello from Lambda, and this time it's adding that parameter. It's actually extracting, my code is extracting it from the JSON, and then it's basically using it in the code. So it's as simple. Now, once function looks good and returning expected result, we need to deploy it back, right? Because that's the whole idea, that it's a Lambda function. I need to run it in my AWS cloud as a serverless. So I have enhanced the function, I have tested it locally, and now I'm going to deploy it. So my command to do that is sam deploy -g. And basically, like if I use -g, then basically I get like step by step. So here it's saying, hey, I'm going to deploy this. If I want, I can change the reason. I want it in US East 1, so I'm providing that, and then it will ask me a bunch of information which I can select yes or no. And then once it start building, before deploying, it's going to show me that what are my change set looks like. So right here is saying, hey, here is the role, here is the function, here is the config. And once I say yes, go ahead, then this change set will be deployed. And if everything goes well, then I should see a successful message, right? The successfully created updated stack in US East 1. So what that means is that at this point, this code that I enhance is actually went back to AWS cloud, and my function is available there. So at this point, I can go back to the AWS console and validate. I should see the function in the AWS Lambda function list. So here I will see that, hey, I have this function. It was last modified 40 seconds ago. And if I go back to again, click on the function, and I go back to my AWS console code editor, which is what we saw in the beginning of this exercise, then you will see that I have updated code here in that function. And then, of course, I can test it here as well using the same JSON sample event and make changes here, deploy it basically, right? But this is really like, a very neat concept that I wanted to show that for simple stuff, you can start it in the AWS console. You can test it, some configuration, you get the SAM template, you can build it local, make change, test it, deploy it back, and really neat way to do it, right? So once we are done with this, when you are completed the setup, once done with the exercise, just make sure that you delete the function to avoid unnecessary resource usage. Nothing is free in the cloud. Well, few things are free in the cloud, but you have to watch, monitor what you are using, because you don't want like surprise cost to show up in your cloud bill. So if the function was created using the AWS console, it must be deleted from the console. So basically you go back to your Lambda function list, select the function, and then you delete it. Now, likely scenario is that you will get some message saying, hey, the function is deleted, but few things that you need to make sure that you delete them manually too, like any role that was created, logs or other associated resource. So make sure that you pay attention to the message and then delete those also. So that way you will make sure that you don't have those things lying around in your account. Now, for function created using AWS SAM or CloudFormation template, you can delete the entire stack using this command, right? The SAM delete. So this command will delete the entire change stack that it deployed using the SAM command. So you just confirm it, and then once you confirm, in few seconds, the entire stack will be deleted. So in this workshop, I demonstrated how to effectively use the updated Lambda code editor to develop, test, and deploy a Lambda function. Additionally, I showcased how to download the SAM or CloudFormation template, continue development in the local VS Code ID, validate the code locally, and then deploy it to an AWS cloud region. I hope you found this tutorial helpful and informative. I'm constantly working on new content covering various AWS topics, so please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Cloud with Girish channel. Your support helps me continue creating valuable AWS tutorials and workshops. Stay tuned for more exciting content. Thank you.